Hello, BIOL1009. Welcome to week 12. We are moving headlong into the world of ecology this week, and we have two major subjects we're going to be covering. The first one is taking sort of a global view of species diversity. So, how is that? What are the patterns we observe in the distribution of plant and animal diversity around the world? And then what are the drivers of those patterns? What are the underlying environmental factors that drive, the presence of a rainforest in the tropics and the presence of a tundra in the North Arctic? What are the underlying sort of ecological principles that drive those biomes? So you're going to be familiarizing yourself with different types of biomes, the related environmental factors, and then sort of the underlying organismic diversity associated with them. And then the second part, we're going to be looking at what is a population? What does an ecologist mean when they say population? And then what drives changes in those populations over time? So what are the rate limiters of population growth? What is population growth? How is it actually defined ecologically? What are the limits to population size? What limits population size? And then how do these factors, growth and size, differ amongst different species depending on their life history? So chapter 43 is going to be focused on sort of these global patterns, and then chapter 44 is when we get into population ecology. So you have your Learn Smart activities associated with that, you have your quiz, of course, and then you have your group homework that you need to get done. And for lab, we are finishing up lab 5, so you will be completing your tropism lab this week and writing your individual reflection, and hopefully you will have incorporated the input from your peers in the peer review process. Even if you weren't able to get peer reviewed, you still need to complete this lab reflection. It's a major part of your lab grade. So please take it seriously, look at the rubric, make sure that you get all of the points that we want you to include in this reflection. Even if your experiment didn't work as you planned, that's not how we're grading this, of course, right? It's not the successfulness of the experiment, it's whether you tried and whether you interpreted your results in a meaningful way, okay? And then, of course, you want to start thinking about starting the last lab of the course, lab 6. So whatever lab you picked, read through that lab and make sure that you have all of the necessary supplies to complete that lab in the time frame of the last remaining couple weeks or few weeks of this semester, okay? A lot of you are doing the pedigree lab. This is potentially a great time to get pedigree data if you're going home for Thanksgiving. So keep that in mind over this week about what you're going to be needing to do to make sure that you're staying on task with the final lab, okay? And of course, if you have any questions about that stuff, please email me or post a question to the Q&A. I do check that fairly regularly. Otherwise, have a good week. Happy Thanksgiving.